I'm the Platt man. Beep, bum, bum, ba, bum. Bum, bum, ba, bum. Beep, bum, bum, ba, bum. Bum, bum, ba, bum.
Welcome to another episode of the Soothing Semantics Podcast. I am your host, Rafie Pinsky. Make sure, as always, to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments. For all of your real estate needs in South Florida, make sure to follow me at Rafie the Realtor. You can check out my weekly newsletter by sending me a DM or in the link in bio. And today we have the Platt man, Mr. Platt himself, Jonah Platt. We were playing tag for a while, back and forth, trying to make a time and a day. Jonah's a busy guy. He is the host of the Being Jewish podcast. He's also an actor, a father, and an advocate of the Hebes and the Sheebs. He's a proud Zionist, and I'm also a supporter of the haircut. I myself like the fade, the beard, the whole. We have that definitely in common among many other things. Ladies and gents, this is going to be a really, really great episode. Strap yourselves in, and I want to welcome you to it. So thank you for joining me, Jonah.
My pleasure. I like the Platt man. Speed, bum, bum, ba, bum. Yeah. I haven't gotten that one before.
No one's ever.
No one's ever given me. I'm the Platt man. Maybe that needs to be like my new theme song. Not bad, Rafie.
It's funny because that's actually what I thought as I was saying it, but
I'm a little bit of bum. Yeah.
We can. I mean, we could do this for 5 minutes if you want.
Let's jam on it.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing that I want to get into before we get into Israel and everything else and your podcast is give us a background for my viewers on your acting.
Sure.
A little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have been in the entertainment industry for about 20 years in a couple of different capacities. I've worked as a writer. I worked in a number of TV writers' rooms on a couple comedies. I've directed stuff. I've done a lot of improv, performed improv, directed it all over the country, in Scotland at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And then I've acted as well. A couple of different TV shows, films. Most famously, probably, was when I played the prince in Wicked on Broadway. I was in the Oscar-nominated film Being the Ricardos. I recurred on the Darren Star show Uncoupled, starring Neil Patrick Harris. Little spots on The Office and Parenthood and Curb. So a little bit of this and that here. I'm in a great Hanukkah movie your audience might like that, called Menorah in the Middle. Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
When was that? When did that?
That's been out. I couldn't tell you the year. I want to say it's maybe been out like 5 years now, something like that.
Oh, you're in Curb? When did you play in Curb?
Small episode, a small part, but I'm in the episode when they do Fatwa the musical. I am one of the actors in Fatwa the musical.
Okay, but what's your role in that?
That's my role. I'm like, they do a musical called Fatwa the musical in Curb, and I'm like one of the actors who is in the musical Fatwa the musical in the episode of Curb.
I have to check it out. Okay, I have to see that. Oh, dude, what a show, man!
Yeah.
It's great. Okay, so how much does acting play a role currently? Are you still somewhat active in it, or it's
No,
totally...
at the moment it's zero. At the moment, I don't even have the time to audition because I'm so focused on the other stuff I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
outside of the podcast, what are other things that you're and being a father?
Yeah, I do a lot of speaking engagements around the country, so I'm traveling a lot for that. I'm out of town almost every week. Excuse me. I'm exploring some bridge building initiatives. I piloted something that I devised called Mosaic Shabbat in the fall that I'm now looking to really expand and build out into a more solidified program that, God willing, will begin to scale and become an existing entity. So that's taking up some time. And I'm also pursuing a master's in anti-Semitism studies at Gratz College, which I'll be finished with hopefully by fall of this year.
Does the professor who teach it mesh well with you? It's so an anti. I've never heard of that before.
It's the first of its kind. First time there's a program in anti-Semitism studies that you can get a master's in.
Interesting.
I'm in different classes. I will say I'm meshing very well. The director of the program is now helping do the data analysis on my Mosaic Shabbat project. So I brought him in and Gratz College, where I'm doing the master's in. And like I'm currently in a class on anti-Semitism and the law, and my professor is a big fan of the pod. So that's working out nicely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It, dude, the podcast has just been so incredible. Just really connecting with other Jews. It's built this fortress of pro-Semitism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, I've just made such good friends, powerhouse Jews, and overall good people that I can't, I don't know how else I would have made these connections. I really don't,
Come on,
truthfully.
tell me about that. Like, what does that mean? Where are you connecting with these folks?
So one very big connector, one guy that's very well connected, this guy, Adam Sosnick. Maybe you've heard of him.
I'm not sure.
Valuetainment, Patrick Bet David, the Jewish guy that works with him. You familiar?
Maybe. I'm terrible with names, and I meet a lot of
Okay.
Jews.
No, so this guy's just incredibly well connected. He
Okay.
knows all the who's who's. He alone, among the many other people I've become friends with through the show. I had him on my show. We became friends, and he's connected me with so many people. I mean, from Jewish business people to people in the podcast space to people in the news space to government officials, Israeli government officials, Jewish American government. There's just been I've been able to really connect through my knowledge of Israel, through my military experience, just by getting to know each other, spending an hour with you, however long we end up speaking. That does a lot, really does a lot. I think a lot more so than just DMing each other.
Mm-hmm.
If we weren't doing what we were doing now, at some point we might meet at some gala or whatever.
Right.
But these hour discussions are they're real bridge builders, I'd say.
Oh, sorry. You were saying you've connected with a lot of people through your podcast.
Right. Oh,
I
you
thought
thought
you meant through my podcast. I was confused.
oh, no. No. I mean, hopefully we can in some way, but anyhow. Okay, you were telling me you were telling me about the things you're doing.
Yeah, I mean that I got to the end. I mean,
Right. Okay, fair enough.
it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. The speaking engagements are a lot. You're flying around all the time.
Flying all over the
Speaking to
place.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
it's
great.
a
I
lot.
love it.
Okay, no, listen, as long as you enjoy it, you have a powerful voice and a platform, so I'm sure it goes a long way. You've spoken at churches too, no?
No, I've not spoken at a church. Of
Would you be open to it?
course.
All right. Because I know there's a couple of guys who do it. There's this guy Barack. He goes by other Barack on social media. He's pretty big.
Okay.
Familiar?
I'm not sure.
Okay, the name thing. We have to
Yeah, maybe. If I'll
maybe by
search if
face.
maybe I'm following him or not. I don't know.
Great dude, great dude. I'm sure you like him. So he was invited to speak at some pro-Israel churches.
Great.
Okay, so moving on. What led you to start this podcast? Because I only knew of it once it already had a decent sized following.
I started it a couple months after October 7th happened. In the wake of October 7th, I was spending all of my time and energy on my Jewish advocacy. Just hours and hours online, talking to people, trying to educate, trying to cut through noise, putting out fires, meeting with hostage families, like all that stuff. And a couple of months into that, I stopped and said, okay, I'm ready to stop being reactive, which, there's a lot going on, so that's good. But now it's time for me to get back to my proactive advocacy and like, what are the things I really care about and want to see and move the needle on within this space. And to me, a podcast was the natural expansion of what I was doing. It would allow me to check a lot of boxes. So one was I really wanted to just normalize Jews having Jewish conversations that weren't about text study, that weren't academics, that weren't rabbis, that weren't nerdy, just like cool regular Jews talking Jewish stuff. And that's normal. It's not political. It's not provocative necessarily. It's not lame. Um, it's not too religious that like anyone can sort of access. I wanted to uh, create a space for notable Jews and allies, the folks I've had on as my guests, to go deep on this stuff and feel safe. That they all trust me. I create very purposefully a very sensitive and safe environment. They know I'm not looking for gotcha moments. I'm not there to fight them. I might drill down on something with them or push them on something, but it's not to drive an agenda. Like my
Mhm.
agenda is to give them a place to sort of just share their truth and put it out there. Um, so wanted to create a space to do that. And I knew that by doing that, I'd also be creating a space for the people at home to see themselves in the experiences of these notable figures and not feel alone and say, I'm feeling that too, or I didn't know that, or be exposed to things they didn't know.
Mhm.
The last piece was I really want to illustrate the importance and the beauty of Jewish diversity. To me, creating a really inclusive Jewish environment is, at the top of my list of my advocacy. So if you watch the show from week to week, you're getting people from different places around the world, different gender, different ethnicity, different level of observance, different politics, different profession, really just showing how different being Jewish can be for everybody and how all of it fits in the same big mishpacha.
Beautiful. No, I've seen you've had all kinds of heaps. So have I. So have I. It's really
Yeah.
cool. So would you say that you're in a sense what they call an October 7th Jew? Not to say you weren't connected, but that was a huge shift or not necessarily?
Yes. So that piece of it, yes, for sure. I made a major pivot after October 7th. I wasn't somebody who was like asleep at the wheel and woke up on October 8th, like some who are like,
Mhm.
I didn't even
Mhm.
know anti-Semitism was a thing. Like, I'm not
Right.
that guy.
Yeah.
I was doing Jewish advocacy. I really started doing it during spring of 2021 with all that Sheikh Jarrah kind of nonsense. It was where I first started speaking up just because I felt like I was pretty well read on this stuff and I could tell people were confused or didn't know how to articulate how they were feeling. And I identified a vacuum there that I thought I could help people fill. So I'd been doing that since and speaking about Jewish representation in Hollywood and doing a couple panels and speeches and stuff here and there. But it was definitely not my day to day focus, day in and day out, the way it is now, where I've stopped auditioning. I don't have a manager or an agent anymore for acting because I'm not going
Mhm.
out on auditions. I'm just doing this stuff. And that definitely was a result of October 7th. I was starring in a play here in LA when October 7th happened, and that's the last play that I've been in.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm there's so many October 7th Jews,
sure.
right? I mean, it was such a punch in the gut for so many people, and it woke a lot of people up. So I can imagine it had a major impact on you as it did for millions of Jews.
Of course.
Was there a time where you second guessed yourself? Because I imagine you had a pretty significant follower base, say on Instagram prior to October 7th. And now, even if even if the plot of your content was not to be specifically political, you know that you're ultimately taking the stance of being pro-Jewish Zionist to whatever extent you are. That is going to put you in a certain lane. So were you unsure about that at a point, or you were like, no, I know what I'm doing?
No, not at all. I think what sort of has benefited me and why I haven't lost friends over this the way so many other people have, and why this wasn't that aspect at least wasn't a difficult choice. The part that was difficult was like, am I going to stop doing my entertainment career and do this full time? That was really the big question. But in terms of like speaking up, like I've always done that. So anybody who knows me, whether you know me in person or on social media, I've been openly, vocally pro-Semitic, to use your term, pro-Jewish. People know my views on Israel, and so if you're a follower or a friend, that's part of it. You've always gotten that from me. So I don't think it was all of a sudden some shock to anyone following. Like, oh my God, this guy's Jewish. Like you wouldn't have been paying attention to have to come to that conclusion.
It was apparent. So that's all. That's really awesome. I didn't know. I really
Oh
didn't know that
yeah,
about you.
of course. It's. I mean, it's honestly, it's sort of if I could recommend it to everybody, Jewish or not, the more authentically yourself you are, the easier your path is because there's no, having to teach people who you are later. There is no barrier to cross. There's no decision to be made. You're just being you the whole time, and people are either along for the ride or they're not. But you don't have to sort it out
Beautifully,
later.
beautifully said. Anyone who knows me whatsoever knows exactly where I stand.
Yeah,
They know I'm super. I am a Jewy Jew, and I love it, and I do it in a very bold, balls on the table kind of way, with love, but at the same time saying you like it, great. You don't,
yeah,
peace.
that's
Very
it.
simple. It's
Hmm.
easy, and it tends to work out pretty well. So I can't complain.
Yeah.
So now that you've been doing the show for what, 4 years?
No. First episodes launched October 1st, 2024. So it's only
Oh,
been going about a year and a half.
oh wow, that's really new. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're
You, but
pretty deep now. We're about like 59 episodes in or something.
were you making content prior though?
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of, I mean, certainly not at the scale of the pod, but I was doing, like I said, I've been doing Jewish advocacy online since 2021. So if you went back and looked at my Instagram, it would be majority not Jewish advocacy, but you'd start to see over those 4 years or 3 years until the pod dropped, me posting plenty of Jewish stuff, holiday stuff, Israel stuff, and whatnot.
Okay, so let me ask you, what do you think of this Jewish ad? First of all, I didn't even see it. Did they play it? Because I didn't even see it. I
Yeah.
wasn't
Oh, they definitely
watching.
played it. Funny enough,
Okay.
I'm actually when we get off this call, I am doing an emergency episode of my pod with the CEO of that foundation to talk about it.
Well,
Um,
with Kraft or someone else?
Not him, the person who runs, the
Oh,
foundation, not
okay,
Kraft funds it, but he's not the day-to-day guy.
gotcha.
What did I think about it? I'm actually, honestly, I'm in a way, I'm going to withhold judgment until I speak to this guy because what I know is that Robert Kraft and this organization, it's not like they're like sitting around going, let's throw a dart at the wall and like hope it works. Like for sure, if they put the money in and this was the narrative they chose and et cetera, they focus tested something. They had a goal. Like they knew they were trying to execute on something. So before I can judge was this effective or not, is this what I would have done? I have to know what was the goal, like who were they trying to reach, and then I can judge. Okay, I can see why you did this, and I think that was probably effective or not. And also there might be data, so I might be like, "There's no way that worked," and they'll be like, "Well, actually, you know." 30 million people said it changed their minds. So what do I know? So I kind of got to
That's
see
a very good
deeper,
response.
you know?
That's a very good response. That's a very good response. To hear the reasons behind why they angled it that way, why they chose to create that sort of narrative. Yeah, I guess a lot of us that feel that it doesn't work is because if we're putting ourselves in an anti-Semite shoes, seeing how all these things have been playing out, the way the Groypers kind of jump on every opportunity to double down. So if they see a weak Jewish narrative, they go, "Oh yeah, sniveling weak Jew, ah, yeah," you know.
Right.
Whereas someone who has a lot more empathy and really doesn't have this natural hatred for Jewish people would say, "I want to defend them too. Let's
Exactly.
defend each other. Let's
Exactly.
protect each other." So
From what I've read, again, I'm about to get into it more detail, but I believe the goal was to reach neutrals, people who are like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I didn't even realize Jews were getting picked on in school." Like we are all of us in the Jewish community are obviously we're like super inside it, so we're looking at it through a very different lens of somebody who literally doesn't even know a single Jew has been picked on in 70 years.
It's crazy that
You know,
but there really are people like that, dude. There are
of course,
people,
sir. Most people have never met a Jew and never will.
right? It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm much more of an advocate of the strong Jewish advertise because that's my whole thing. My
Sure,
whole thing is very.
I get that too.
I'm a big proponent of a lot of anti-Semitism would be irrelevant or wouldn't exist if we took a very self-protective approach where we all had each other's backs. And it doesn't negate that it exists, but I said this on a recent podcast. I made a snippet and it did quite well. A lot of people were enjoying it. The idea that people can hate you, but if they can't do much about it, it doesn't matter all that much.
Right.
If I hate a guy that weighs 300 pounds and is full of muscle and he's a black belt in three different martial arts, and I tell him I hate his guts and I point a finger at him and I want to punch him in the chest, I mean, he's not really going to give much of a shit about what I have to say. It's not going
Yeah.
to matter all that much. So I
I'm
think,
totally in agreement with you on that piece. You know, I always say it's no different than the playground bully, right? It's like the bully picks on the person who's pick onable, who's scared and
yeah,
insecure and is trying to hide. That's the weakness. The bully doesn't pick on the person who has his head held high and looks like he doesn't give a shit and is confident.
mhm. Can we get into that a little more? Because
Yeah.
I think there's been such a stereotype and to an extent rightfully so of say Jews in the United States versus Jews in say Israel, where there really is this narrative of in Yiddish, maybe you were familiar or not, the nebuch, right?
The Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And it's a very prevalent thing. It's a very prevalent thing among a lot of American Jews. And I mean, they make fun of it in TV shows and movies all the time. You have Mort Goldman and Family Guy.
Yeah,
You
it's
have
the Woody
Cody
Allen.
exactly. And there's quite a lot of that. And I think there's a good reason to play into that because a lot of us are like this. Let's be
Mhm.
honest.
Sure.
And um, and I think it's very easy to pick on people like that. They just happen to be Jewish. They're very academic. They're not very athletic. They're not they're usually not taking up boxing and martial arts.
Right.
This has been something that we've been doing, especially in Europe, for the longest time in recorded history. There's always been such a focus on academia, which in and of itself is wonderful. But when
Right.
you need to pull out that other side, when you need to pull the warrior side, but all you have is the gardening side, and you get sidelined, I think this is a huge shift. I think October 7th caused these vibrations and woke a lot of people up to the fact that this is important and that we might have to shed a little bit of that off. We
Yeah.
might have to be willing to say, you know what, this is a narrative we've gotten so used to, and we've even prided ourselves on for good reason. But sometimes you need to be able to be that other person.
Sure.
I think you should always be that other person. It doesn't mean you need to be aggressive or violent, but it
No.
means you need to have the ability. You have to have that in your tool belt.
I think you and I are you're talking a little bit more literally than I am. I think
Okay.
if correct me if I'm wrong, I think you literally mean like Jews need to be able to beat people up.
I think they should be able to more. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm not that kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Many more of us should be able to, if need be. I'm not expecting every Jew to be a sensei or Mr. Miyagi's protege, but I do think that a much larger percentage of Jews should be able to defend themselves if the situation arises. It's just an overall mentality thing. I think it'll do us a lot of good.
I I don't totally agree. I mean, like you name like let's look at the black community, let's say. Like, are people going to stop being racist to black people because there are black people who can defend themselves physically? No.
Mhm.
It's nice for it's it's more like just putting concrete barriers around synagogues make them safer. Definitely. Does it stop Jew haters from hating Jews? No. So I think having however many Jews who can physically defend themselves, is that going to stop certain situations that could lead to something terrible from going there and make those Jews more physically secure? Sure. Do I think it's going to change an overall image or move the needle on a macro level for Jews? No, I don't think so.
Okay, I have a response to this. I don't think the important part is getting rid of anti-Semitism. I think the important part is avoiding a lot of the attacks that come with it. Because if you're going to bring up the African American crowd, yes, there's an enormous amount of racism, but I think it also a lot of the core of where the hatred and why the hatred exists, it's kind of different. Um, people people are much less likely to go into a black neighborhood and start attacking black people than they are to go into a Jewish neighborhood and start attacking Jewish people. So yes, there's hatred in both circumstances, but people are a lot less likely to go and start beating up on black people than they are on Jews because they're afraid. They're a lot of the time afraid there's going to be a consequence. Like if we're being very frank about comparing the two. Also, I think the reason that most people hate Jews is different to a large extent. You know, like they don't. Most people don't think that African Americans or Black Americans control things. They hate us for a multitude of reasons, but they see us as this powerful minority where they see Black people as a non-powerful minority. It's a different thing. I mean, we have our similarities, but
Yes,
you know.
of course it's not the same kind of hate. And
Mhm.
and I hear your point about sort of the neighborhood thing, but I also I don't think that there's a ton of people there's not a lot of instances right now of we all ran up on this Jewish neighborhood to beat up a bunch of Jews. Like that's not really happening. You're getting like protests and people disrupting. And I don't think that's if Jews would beat people up, they'd stop doing that. To me, that's more if there was a social norm that made that taboo, that would
Mhm.
stop that a lot more. And I also don't think I don't know the answer for sure, but I think if you asked a black person, I have to assume they'd be like, yeah, people still like come up and mess with our shit if they want to be racist and roll up in our neighborhood. Maybe not to beat a bunch of people up, but to deface a property or be jerks about it. Maybe not in where you live or where
Uh,
I live, but in some other places, you know?
could be, could be. No, but also I don't look at it as beating people up. But anyway, yeah, I think the defense that first of all they do in New York, it happens. It's happened many.
Mhm.
I mean, it
You're
happens.
never going to get those, yeshiva Torah scholar guys. They're not going to become Krav Maga masters.
They don't have to be Krav Maga masters, but
They kind of do, right? If they're going to really be able to defend themselves, you got to be really able to defend yourself. And
you got to know what you're
I don't
doing.
see it for them.
Yeah, well, listen, that's their prerogative. I can't
Yeah.
if they don't want to do
They
it.
got to be in school. They don't got time. They got to
Yeah,
be.
it doesn't take that much time. It really doesn't. Even a couple of times a week. Listen, I just don't. It's sad that it's so far-fetched to so many people. It's sad that it's to even bring it up seems like this crazy nonsensical idea. I don't know. I'm not trying to create this militia of Jews. I'm not like the Kim
I don't
Jong-un of
think
the
it's
Jewish people.
nonsensical at all. Like certainly, like I said, like to me, it's sort of the same of like putting security guards at temples. Like it definitely, if all Jews knew karate, like we would be safer. Like for
Mhm.
sure, obviously. I just think it's hard. I can't think of any community, at scale that has you like that's such a hard thing to like scale up
Yeah, but
across a
it's a
population.
mentality thing. Let's try to okay, let me try to simplify this a little more
Yeah.
because you're making good people are not afraid to walk into a Jewish neighborhood, say something anti-Semitic, and really anything will happen. But in many other communities of other ethnic groups, you will probably have a very hard time leaving that neighborhood without getting some kind of something happening. And it's not because Jewish people are hated more, whatever. Well, you could say they're hated more, but it's simply because they are much more. Uh, they're not willing to be confrontational, and sometimes you go into an Italian neighborhood, you start saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things. You're gonna end up in a certain situation. There's just I think sometimes there needs to be a consequence, like, or at least there needs to be the fear of a consequence. But when you're able to just so boldly get away with certain things, it's more likely those things are going to happen. So all I'm saying is if Jewish people want to keep if they want to be so, I'm trying to think of the word, uh, what's a good word, a good word for not when you're grossed out by something, but when it's very foreign to you. When you want to be I guess averse to it.
Hmm.
If that's how you want to look at confrontation, not you, but in the general
Right. Yeah.
sense, if Jews want to be so averse to the idea of it, then when they really need to do it, they won't be able to. So I think to some extent, if you're more familiar with doing it, you hopefully won't really have to, or you'll have to do it less because you're doing it more in a controlled setting with other people in a martial arts center to some extent. And when it comes knocking on your door and you're in a position where you have to do something about it and you don't know what the hell to do, you're fucked. I mean, to put it simply, and it could happen one time in your entire life. There can be one time in 85 years that you ever really are in a predicament where you can't get out of it, where you can't run away, you can't call the cops, you know? And that one time could be a huge deal. That time you might have to protect your wife, your kids, your wife and your kids. So some people will say, but it's never going to happen. What are the chances? Hey, there's a chance.
I mean, I think in that scenario, there's a chance whether you're a Jew or not, you're going to find yourself in a situation like that.
Yeah, but Jews have there's a higher chance among us, man. That's what I think. But okay. Anyway, that's I enjoyed that. We don't have to
Yeah, yeah,
delve.
great.
Okay, so are you covering Iran at all, or is that not something that's?
Yeah, actually, my episode that drops tomorrow is with three Iranian Jewish guests, and
Oh yes, I saw.
yeah, so
I saw.
very much on my mind for sure.
Where do you think that's headed?
Oh gosh, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. It really all depends on America and Israel, right? And more America than anything. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I don't know what conversations are being had with the, intermediary states like Qatar and Turkey and Saudi Arabia. I don't know who's pulling which levers. I don't know which agenda is supreme. It's impossible to predict. I really don't know. I don't know if there's a certain kind of provocation the U.S. is waiting for. I don't know if the U.S. has no intention of going in at all under any circumstance. I really don't know. I wish I did, but I find it very hard to prognosticate.
Prognosticate. That's a word. That's a good word.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a great word. Prognosis, prognosticate. Dude, that's good. Huh. Because I've actually never heard that word before. It's great. And I know
Yeah, you got it.
okay. No, that's good. I'm adding that to my vocabulary. Beautiful.
Nice.
Uh, the Persians ever call you Jonah Jun?
Yes, definitely. When I was a kid, my elementary school went to day school. It's even more so now, but it was probably like 40-50% Persian when I was a kid. And so like the moms of my friends definitely got some Jonah June and some of the like teachers at the school.
Jonah Jun?
Jonah June.
Jonah Jun.
So
Could you
nice.
come over for some day later? That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, just want to prognosticate on a last point. I'm just using the word. Um, okay, so we covered. I mean, we didn't cover Iran too much. You said you're not really sure where it's going to go.
Yeah, in terms of I can talk. I mean, I could talk about what is happening, but I can't tell you what's gonna happen. I just don't know.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, I mean, none of us know. I guess it was just a
Yeah,
speculatory question.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Uh, if if you want to give your speculation, I mean, do you think America's going to attack anytime soon, or
Like on the one hand, my gut is no. My gut is like if they were gonna do it, I feel like they would have already done it. But then, sort of as I said, I don't really know anything. I mean, that's from like 100 million miles outside of the important conversations that are happening around this. And for all I know, there's a plan or there's a line that they're waiting to be crossed. But just it's hard not to draw the conclusion, I guess, that when thousands of people are being mowed down, if that wasn't the line to be crossed, kind of what is. And so I'm not optimistic. I don't. It doesn't. I guess my if I had to guess, if I had to bet, I would say I don't see intervention coming, barring some major provocation by Iran, like really going specifically after American interests in a way that America gets pushed and has, no option but to respond.
Yeah, I think that's a good analysis. I think Trump was hoping that his threats would have been a deterrent for Iran not to kill civilians, but no, it didn't. I guess they called him on his bluff. They didn't see him doing anything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's complicated because even if Khomeini falls from power, there's this potential for such a huge potential for a power vacuum, and because there are so many of them that do support Khomeini in the country, there are a lot of these Shias who support him, and so what happens? You know, a potential civil war. Who takes his place after? Is it Pahlavi? Is it another Islamic figure?
Right.
I
And
don't know.
Pahlavi doesn't have the military, so it's a tough one.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, what do we have now? What do we how long is this going on for? We started at 3:10, so 3:50, 40 minutes schmooze, not bad.
Yeah,
So,
man.
is there anything else you wanted to maybe cover? Anything on your mind? Something
Um, it's always all this stuff's always on my mind, so I can go any direction you
Mhm.
want to go. Um, no, man, it's your show. You tell me.
No, for sure. For sure. No, I also don't like the idea of over pushing something. No, this is solid, man. There's so many things we could talk about, Jonah, but
Of
it's
course.
I'm happy to hopefully have you on again. We can kind of get into more about Israel and what you think about one state versus two states.
Well, that's an easy one.
Yeah. Are you where are
I
you
mean,
where do you
I'm a two-state guy.
interesting.
Hmm.
We disagree on that for sure. You still believe in the two-state thing?
I don't see another way to have any semblance of stability in that region without a two-state. I think if Israel goes full one state, it's just going to be a cluster for them with all the other powers in that region. You're basically daring all these other powers to be bluffing and to like not care. And I just that's not a dice roll I'm really willing to take. And I
Hmm.
certainly don't believe in a one state, from the other point of view of just have everybody in there. Because to me that's the end of a Jewish state.
Sure.
Um, so to me, I feel like the two states is the safest. Like, if there is a Palestinian state, then like, guess what? That means there's also an Israeli state, and so like that debate's over. And if there's two, that means if we've created the one half of the two, that means the other half of the two is undeniable in a way that it hasn't been before. And you get to me at least the posture has been for all these decades that like that is the barrier to full integration and participation in the region for Israel, which is what I ultimately want. And I feel like, man, if we can just cross that bridge, it's almost like, and I don't mean to sound callous, but it's like it almost doesn't matter then what happens to the Palestinians. It's like, okay, you got your state. It's up to you now, Israel. Let's make some deals, and like then everybody can just go, like the green light's on. But they
Oh,
can't. They can't go there until their stated thing of Palestinians must have a state has been checked off the list.
we're totally on opposite ends of the spectrum. And I think yeah, you come from a very pragmatic place, man, but it's not about them having a state. They don't really they're not going to that's not going to satisfy them. It's
Yeah, to me, it's not about the Palestinians, right? Like, I agree with you. The Palestinians just don't want Jews to have a state more than they want to have their own state. To me, it's about your Saudis and your Turkey and your Jordan and your Egypt and like all the major players who like I just want everybody to be friends with Israel. And it feels like until they get this Palestinian thing sorted, they can't go full Israel. So if they decide to skip that part and they're like, F it, we're not waiting for Palestinians anymore. Let's go Abraham Accords with everybody. Great, then great. I don't care really. And I do think Palestinians, God willing, one day they should have a moderate government that cares about them and gives them their own, autonomy. Like that would be great. There's been no indication that that's happening anytime soon. But it's the region that I'm concerned with, And the Iran piece is super tied into it too, right? So it's like as long as Iran can do whatever it wants, it's intractable because they're going to keep giving these proxy armies ammo and money and keeping things from ever settling. So there's a lot that's got to happen.
I hear you.
Yeah,
But the thing is what does two
yeah.
states look? What does two states look like? Because you have Gaza and Judea. Do the Jews leave Judea and Samaria? Like what happens?
What, the West Bank area? You mean?
Well, I don't
Whatever you
believe.
want to call it? Yeah, yeah. I don't care.
Sure.
Judea and Samaria. I don't know. To me, it's like I don't. It's easy for me to say. I don't live there, but like I don't care. I like just figure it out. Whatever it is, like let's just get there. Let's get it done, and and move forward. Like to me, once the Arab world stops caring about this, like they lose all of their strength, right? Like the Palestinians on their own cannot support this centuries long war. It's because all these
Mhm.
other actors in the region keep supporting them, and because the West is pumping them full of money. And like, once all that stuff ends, again, it's sort of like, all right, guys, up to you. Go work it out. We gave you the state. Figure it out, guys. And then we can all move on. And it's like, if they implode, they implode, or they figure it out, and then that's great for everybody. But at least, like, the big boys can start playing and talking to each other, and Israel can stop having to watch its back all the time because now Saudi Arabia has invested a bunch of money with them, and they're like, hey, we did what we said we're going to do. Palestine, you guys got what you wanted. We're working with Israel. Cut it out.
I'll tell you, it's not going to go that way. Not because in the perfect world, I wouldn't. If I didn't know the Arabs and the Palestinians as well as I do, then I would say your idea sounds lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Being that I know that Islam forbids such a thing from happening, fundamentally forbids it from happening, it's not going to happen. If Israel,
It's happened in a couple of countries, right? I mean,
it's not
Jordan,
going to work. No, no, but that's
UAE,
different.
Oman,
That's
Morocco.
different.
Why?
They're different because the Palestinians for the Muslim world, because the Muslim much of the Muslim world doesn't even care about Palestinians as people, but since they're fighting with us, they value them as the pawns, the people they can throw into the fire so they don't have to fight the war.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is if you take the pawns off the table, either you have to be like, I guess we're fighting
You
Israel,
don't.
or you go, oh, I guess we have nothing to fight about anymore. The fight's over.
No, but the two-state solution does
Yeah.
is it emboldens them to continue for fighting for more land. It doesn't end there. We
Hmm.
give them more land and they say to themselves, "Great, we won this. We got this far, and now we can continue to fight from here. They have less land than they did before. Now we can fight from. So let's say we gave them Gaza, and then we pulled out of Judea and Samaria in totality, which it's not going to happen. You have a million Jews there, but say theoretically we're able to kick all of them out, and now we created this state of Palestine where there was the West Bank on one side of the country, Gaza on the other side of the country, and you'd have to create a bridge. They're Arabs. They're going to have different leaders in both parcels of land. They're not going to get along.
Yeah. So that
Then
part is
you're going to have
actually the
rockets.
trickiest part, right? It's got
Then
to
you're
be
going to
like
have
a
rockets.
three-state solution.
No, but this is why I'm saying, Jonah, I can really go into this with you. Then we're going to have rockets not only coming from Gaza, we're going to have rockets coming from Judea and Samaria. And then, respectfully, people who are on the pro two-state side are going to be like, I can't believe it. Why? I don't understand. Why are they still attacking us? They should be happy. We gave them what they wanted. It's because it's not what they want. They want the whole thing.
In that scenario, I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
then it's even easier for Israel to retaliate, right? Because now I'm not retaliating against some oppressed territory that I'm occupying. I'm retaliating against a foreign agitator who attacked my sovereign land. It's like the whole world will see, hey, we gave you this country, and now you're
Nah,
attacking me. Now we can bomb you.
it doesn't work like that. The world is still. It would work like that in other circumstances, not unfortunately not with us, because the thing that's so different is this land is not just Cincinnati, Ohio. It's the birthplace of monotheism. It's the center of where all the three religions came to be. It's the most contested piece of real estate in world history. It's Israel, it's Jerusalem. It's so fundamentally important. So when people give analogies of two other countries like Pakistan and India, it's a totally different animal. We're talking about people fighting on the basis of what God said. You know, you have Muslims, God said this, Muhammad said that, Moses said this, God said this is this deep, deep religious war of thousands of years taking place happening now. It's not about, oh, well, you took my land or you took my land and this and that. It really has to do with Islam fundamentally is not okay with Jews having rule and sovereignty over this incredibly sacred land. And the Jews are saying, no, it clearly says that we're going to come back. It says that we have an everlasting covenant, that we inherited this land. This is ours, and you can live in it with us, but stop trying to kill us. And the Muslims say, no, no, no. We need to fight you because you're not allowed to have control over it. When Muhammad came, he took control over it. It's Muslim land now. You lost your covenant, and now it's ours. And this is where the fight. This is really the reason why we're fighting. It's not about two state agreement is that's not going to solve it. What's going to solve it is Jews not dilly dallying about one state or two states, saying this is all Israel. It is ruled by the Jews. You can be not Jewish and still live with us, but you cannot live with us and also try to kill us and remove our rule. We rule here. This is a tiny little crumb-sized country. We rule it. You have enormous swaths of land all around us. If you don't like it, pick yourself up and go over there. But we're not willing to be that frank a lot of the time. We're not willing to be that straightforward. And this is why for 77 years we've been in the same BS situation because every time we won a major war, we kept making dumb decisions afterward to appease and to apologize. But when you give away land to very tribal people, very religiously fundamental people, all you're doing is emboldening them to fight you more. Because if fighting you got them what they wanted, then why would they stop fighting you? They'll just get more. They don't want to, Jonah, they want everything, which is understand you I can understand why that's the case. But if rewarding them with violence I'm sorry, if violence rewards them with land, then of course they're going to say, well, I might as well continue to do it because it'll just get me more of what I want. That's what I think.
That part I don't follow because that
Okay.
doesn't track with Egypt. It doesn't track with Jordan. It doesn't track with Syria.
They've been America's giving them enough money to shut them up, and they don't feel like they'll be able to take Israel. Meaning they don't have the same. Uh, they've tried to do it multiple times. They've failed multiple times. America gave them gives them enormous sums of money and says, "Listen, stop fighting them. It'll be worth your while. We'll give you money. We'll give you opportunity. Leave it alone." But if Hezbollah and Hamas invaded together on October 7th and Israel was falling, do I believe for a second that Egypt, Syria, and maybe Iraq wouldn't join in to try to just completely get the job done? Yes, they absolutely would. I'm supremely confident they would. Because they're all Sunni. If it's one thing if Iran, not all of these countries align with Iran because Iran is Shia, so Iran has its own agenda. But the Sunni countries, as long as they feel that they have a very, very high chance of defeating Israel, they're going to go in for the kill. They just don't want to be the ones to do it because we have America backing us. And Egypt doesn't feel confident they're going to be able to take Israel on. But the Palestinians, they don't have anything as it is. They got nothing to lose. And they have these countries saying, we'll give you millions of dollars, keep fighting them. It's a religious duty. We'll support you. We don't want to fight the war for you. We don't want boots on the ground, but hey, we'll support you. We'll give you what you need. Go ahead. They're like, well, what do we have to lose anyway? We got,
I guess to me that sort of
yeah,
speaks to, well,
your
okay, if they
point.
have a state, now they have something to lose.
But they already have. They already have Gaza. What's what? Why is
But
it not? A,
it's not an actual state. It is a territory that they inhabit.
why can't that be a state?
I mean, a state requires recognition by the international community as being a sovereign state, and it's not.
Yeah. But why they have outside of an official
Well, those are the two
recognition.
things you need to be a state. Like in the definition of like what is a state is you need the infrastructure of a state, and then you need international recognition. So, like, why isn't Somaliland a state? Because the
Mm-hmm.
world hasn't said we recognize you as a state. They've got all the foundations, but the world isn't recognizing them for whatever everybody's different reasons are.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't get to be a state, and they don't get they don't get to be in the UN, and they don't get to play with everybody else in the same sandbox.
Well, if Somaliland was brutally attacking Israel over and over again, there's so many countries they can go to. I don't see a need for a 52nd, 53rd Muslim state or a 24th, 25th Arab state. I think they have enough. They have enough states.
I mean, I don't
Actually,
argue with you on the numerical balance.
if
Again, I'm looking at it like I'm trying to think strategically. I hear your argument. I mean, you could certainly be right that like ultimately the best thing to do would be to just say, hey, we're just taking all of it, deal with it. I just worry in that scenario, it's like a cliff in the global standing that Israel won't be able to come back from. But things change. What goes down goes up. What goes up goes down.
no,
People
you know
probably
what,
thought that
dude?
about Nazi Germany, and now look at them. So who knows?
I think we have to be focused more on being respected because at the end of the day, no matter what we do, there are going to be people who hate us. It's a
Yeah,
very it's a tough predicament. I think first of
yeah,
all, I would not be in support of giving them a full-fledged military. Israel should never allow them to have an air force. Sorry,
yeah. No,
sorry.
I have no problems with that.
Is okay, but is that fair? You could argue not.
Of course, it's fair. Look, there has to be. It would have to be a demilitarized state.
Okay, but you could argue, meaning you could just as easily argue, well, that's not fair. The reason they're fighting us is because they don't have an army too. If they also had an army, they would feel less threatened by us, and maybe they wouldn't fight. The reality is like you you have to think about your family first. If I know that to secure the safety of my family, the neighbor next to me maybe will get the worst end of the stick. Additionally, considering that that neighbor has been wanting to wipe me out for as long as time, quite frankly, it's not my greatest concern. Like, do I want that person to live or that person's family to live well so long as they're not trying to kill me? Sure. I don't want them to suffer. But if they really would love to eliminate me, I could give a fuck all. I'm being super honest about it.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean every single Gazan. That doesn't mean every single person in Judea and Samaria. But this idea that you're trying to eliminate me, and I'm then supposed to make you and the people in your family just as much of a priority as mine is absolutely asinine. But the world expects that of it. That
No.
your enemy, you should be treating your enemy exactly the way you treat your own people. In what world does that align with reality? If I have a son, God forbid, and Jack Black has a son, okay, and both of our sons, God forbid, are hanging off a cliff. I really hope Jack Black's son makes it, back on solid ground, okay. But if I have to choose between his son and mine, I mean, I'm saving my son.
Sure.
Like these are shitty, these are sucky conversations, they're sucky examples to bring. But a lot of people in the West don't consider these things. They go, humans equality, but they
They
don't
don't
stop to
have to because it's not their kid hanging off the cliff, so they have no skin in the game, so they don't care. I mean, to speak specifically to that military piece, I mean that would be I would assume, and certainly everything I've looked at, like it would be a non-starter. Like there would never be a Palestinian state that had like full military capabilities. Like no one on any level would agree to that anywhere.
well,
So
who's no one because there are million there you could all the most of the Muslim world absolutely would.
I don't think so. I don't think people are stupid. Like I don't think they're saying you got to have a state and they've got to have an air force. Like they know that's not happening. No one is ever agreeing to that.
Jonah, I
The
disagree.
West wouldn't even agree to that. I don't think so. I don't think France wants Hamas to have an air force. You know what I mean? It's like nobody wants that.
France is pretty fucking I mean, Macron's
Exactly.
pretty
And I
damn
think
stupid.
not even not like they're not even that crazy. Like no one
I,
wants Hamas to have tanks and an air force. Like nobody does.
Well, except for the people that support Hamas, and there's millions that you. There are millions of
But those
people.
people aren't. They're not holding the cards. So I mean, like, I'm not worried about Israel agreeing to a state with Hamas having an air force. Like that's just never going to happen. There just would never. That would never go.
If we don't trust a country to have a military, then I don't believe in giving. If you're not
Well,
responsible
you
enough to
gotta start somewhere. I mean, or you don't
yeah,
start at all. But if you're going to start, I think it's okay
yeah,
to start. You go in stages. You go. Again,
right.
it's like look at Nazi Germany. It's like they started by being totally occupied
Yeah,
and
but you also know what
demilitarized.
happened. Yeah, but Nazi Germany also got their shit pushed in before they got bombed to hell. Like absolutely fucking carpet bombed. I mean, they weren't asked they weren't exactly they were really smashed.
Yeah, they got spanked, and then all the allies came in, and they literally were like, "Hey, guess what? We're running things here
Yeah.
until we can trust you again."
Yeah.
That's what it needs for sure. Like
Yeah.
any other circumstance, I would not support it. But
Right.
so, like, the question is, can Israel ever get the buy-in to like, is this board of peace situation? Is that actually going to be like the Allied powers occupying Germany and saying, here's what you're doing with your school education system. Here's what you're doing with your military. Here's what you're doing until we're satisfied, and then we'll leave and give it back to you.
Hmm.
Or not, and then it will just continue to be a clusterfuck. So it depends, but it's so there's a lot. I think there's a lot of it's like an Avengers Endgame. It's like there's one scenario where it works out, and everything has to play exactly right. But there is one.
Right.
There's one,
Right. Right.
but who knows if it'll happen?
I think by the way, I think what's inevitable, this is my prediction. What's inevitable that's going to happen is Israel will keep being at war with the Palestinians and their supporters until Israel has full control over the entire piece of land and gives the non-Israeli citizen, meaning the Arabs without
Mhm.
Israeli citizenship, such as the ones in Gaza and Judea and Samaria, gives them resident status and not civilian status, meaning it gives them the ability to live in the country, get certain benefits, economic benefits. They can work and do have religious freedom and et cetera, et cetera. They're not going to vote. They're not going to be
You're talking like
uh,
Puerto Rico.
right, right, right. But they're protected. The military, the IDF protects them. We have police that protect their cities, garbage pickup, roads, and all that jazz. And that's it. And if they don't like it, they can go somewhere else. This is At some point there needs to be an element where it says you have it far better than the Jews did throughout history living in the Muslim world. You don't have to wear a star of Islam on your shirt. You don't have to ride a horse sideways. You don't have to build a mosque lower than a synagogue. You don't have to pay us a non-Jew tax. You have it far better than we had it in your countries. Are you maybe slightly lower on the social ladder where the Jews are the priority in Israel? Maybe. And you know what? Tough fucking shit. I think like to some extent, we're in the Middle East. No other country in the Middle East is democratic. All of these countries are theocracies, but yet we have to be, and I think that's a mistake to some extent, is we need to prioritize being a Jewish state more than being a democracy. We should be able to do both to the best of our ability, but if being a democracy if trying to be so democratic to the point where it hurts our Jewish majority and our Jewish security, we have to decide whether the democratic element is more important than the Jewish element, and I don't think it is. I think we do both right now, but the focus has to be: are we in the best position to protect the Jewish citizens of Israel? Not to say that we shouldn't protect the non-Jewish citizens, but are the threats against the Jewish citizens primarily dealt with on a regular basis? Yes, fantastic. Let's focus. Let's do our best with democracy. You know what I'm saying? Okay,
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
democracy getting in the way? Is the democracy, because you look at a great example of this is if you look at Europe, they're so pro democracy that the immigrants who don't respect democracy are using that against them. They're
yeah,
using democracy against them. So
yeah.
this is exactly what I mean. If democracy is going to get to such a point where it's being used against the people advocating for democracy, then you have to analyze how democratic you should be.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? You
yeah.
be kind to the kind, but you can't give all this kindness to someone who's going to use it against you and take you.
Sure. You can't play by this isn't a board game. You can't stick
Yeah,
to the rules if the people are not playing by the rules.
exactly what I'm
We
saying.
got to deal with the real world. I
Right.
hear you. I hear you.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to my TED talk, man.
No,
This
it's compelling. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think there's it's hard to know what like the right answer is because everything you're saying totally makes sense. To me, it's like to me like where my mind always goes is the other regional partners, and I'm like maybe if Israel did just do that the way America just like took Puerto Rico and was like sorry, figure it out like later, then maybe that works. But if it leads to, a bunch of Muslim countries attacking it, then I don't know if it's necessarily worth it.
It it would be worth it because most of these countries would talk shit and do absolutely nothing because they're
Right. So
scared.
if that's what happens, then it's like, okay, cool, we got away, we did it.
That's what
Great.
would happen. Especially, this is the perfect opportunity to do it because most of these countries did talk a lot of shit and did absolutely nothing because they're scared.
Hmm.
And this is what Israel needs to do. Israel needs to say, listen, this is what needs to happen because we're sick and tired of the fighting. And if you want for peace to happen, you're going to advocate for this. If you support us not having a state, then you're going to fight us. And at the end of the day, it might get a little difficult. There might be a little bit of there might be some problems after the decision is made. But I think in the long run, it's going to be a night and day. I think this is it almost feels biblical to me that until we do it, we're just never going to get a time. We're never going to get the ability to rest. Like we're going to
Yeah,
constantly.
we're in this holding pattern without being able to solidify literally even the borders of the dang country. It's hard to
Yeah.
feel a sense of permanence because we're in this holding pattern for the last 30 years.
To, Israel has been petrified to get on that skydiving plane for decades.
Hmm.
We finally got on that plane, and now we're holding on to the edges of the plane, but we're too scared to jump out of it because we don't know. There's all this uncertainty at the bottom in the sky, whatever. And so many things to me are telling us just to jump out of the damn plane already. It's going to be scary. It's going to be a little scary. It's not going to be easy, but you're going to make it. You're going to end up on the ground in the end. Like I think we just it's a very simple analogy to explain a very complicated issue, but I think to such an extent we're at that point where it's a make it or break it moment. It's such a make it or break it moment. October 7th really shifted everything in the region, and now we have to keep going. But
Hmm.
now there's a lot of friction, there's a lot of abrasion, and if we get too scared and we stop doing what we've been doing, everything was for nothing. Israel has such an opportunity to make a real everlasting peace, but it has to be very decisive. Like
Yeah.
there's this Jewish power that we've had now. That Israel has been showing this enormous strength and just defeating the enemies. I mean, totally changed the playing field in the Middle East. But if we just backtrack now, all these enemies are going to regain power and everything is going to go back to square one again. There needs to be like clear don't mess around decision making. That it doesn't mean we'll have peace until the end of time, but even if we get a good 30, 40 years of peace, like you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. I hear
So that's listen, I'm hopeful.
you.
I'm hopeful. Let's see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to
No, in fact, I got to jump.
I will let you do that, man. Then by the way, I know I ended up speaking a lot towards the end, so
That was great. You gave me a lot to think about.
awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is episode 253 of the Soothing Semantics Podcast. Jonah, thank you so much for joining me. I really had a great discussion.
Me
You
too.
can follow Jonah on all social media accounts. Are you Jonah Platt on every?
Yeah, I'm Jonah Platt on Twitter and Instagram and Threads, and the podcast is Being Jewish Podcast. YouTube at Being Jewish Podcast, BeingJewishPodcast.com, Spotify, Apple, and on Instagram.
Go check them out, guys. And of course, South Florida real estate would love to help you. Until next time, peace.